Hi everyone, this is Flip Pideaux, host of Old Bull TV, with a quick podcast episode full of astounding and improbable updates from the Kanye campaign trail. This is a special crossover episode with Keendawg from Spangled Gamblers, who will join me in a minute, and we'll be talking about Kanye's odds of making the presidential ballot in 3 states, Virginia, Ohio, and Arizona, all of which you can trade right now on PredictIt. And if you're not yet on PredictIt, you can get started with up to $50 free just for being one of our treasured listeners. So go to predictit.org/promo/oldbull50. That gets you a deposit match of up to $50 to jumpstart your trading at predictit.org/promo/oldbull50. Good luck to you, and now let's talk birthday party.
Yo, I don't know who gets to make the intro to this because this is a co-hosted podcast. Flip, are you going to holler?
Sure. It can be you introing me, doing the intro. Back to you. This is Flip from Old Bull TV. I'm here with Keendawg from Spangled Gamblers for a very serious emergency podcast. What's it about today?
Emergency podcast! It's an emergency!
What's the emergency?
Well, I don't even know. I'm an idiot, and I'm not paying attention to Kanye West. And it seems like no one is stalking Kanye West more these days than you are. So
yeah, well, you know, in the great tweet market desert of 2020, we gotta look for any port in a storm, and PredictIt has obliged with this wonderful series of Kanye markets. We've now had, I think at least 6, maybe even 7 markets, most of which to do with Kanye's ballot access, which has turned into such an amusing comedy of errors.
Wait, but can we talk about? Didn't you get boned on one of these, Flip? Like
I did. Actually, The first one was a tremendous victory. He was trading at like 10, 15, 20 cents on whether he would even run for president, and he had been out there. He was spending money in Florida. And the market was tied to whether he would actually file the FEC paperwork. It was clear he had attempted to get on the ballot and spent enough money that he had to file. So this is what I was saying, that look, it doesn't necessarily mean he will, but if he's going to comply with the law, this billionaire that certainly has the means to do it, he's very likely to. And sure enough, he filed, and that one went from low double digits to 100. So that was a great one. The next one, though, was whether he would make the ballot in Ohio. And this one was written poorly, Ohio. Right? So it said, will he qualify for ballot access in Ohio? The rules, though, said...
This is a guy who used to write them, huh?
Yeah, the rules said, will they accept his filing? Right? So this is a very rare occasion where the PredictIt title and rules were clearly at odds. And when that happens and they catch it in a high-profile market, they always catch it. Well, it's rare that it doesn't go unremedied once it comes to their attention. In other words, if the title clearly is steering you the wrong way and they don't put up the gray box that clarifies the rule.
Yeah, the gray box of doom.
Yes, then it usually means, almost invariably means, that they've found a way to interpret the letter of the rules to be in harmony with the spirit of the title. And so this really, I think, was the first time I've seen that not happen. So I was confidently advising traders, much to some of their financial losses. For that, I continue to apologize, that I was really confident that unless he actually made the ballot in Ohio, this would eventually resolve as no. Instead, very shortly after he filed in Ohio, they resolved it as yes. Was completely wrong on that one. But he was, of course, then kicked off the ballot in Ohio, although he's now suing to get back on. But in any event, we're moving past that one. We're looking at the future. We've got 3 really interesting markets of the ones that remain. We've got whether he will qualify, and they fixed the rules now. So it's not just will he file. Will he actually be on the ballot in 3 important states, Virginia, Iowa, and Arizona. So with the exception of Virginia, well, really, and Iowa. Arizona is the only one that really is super interesting electorally in terms of could he play spoiler to Biden? Yeah.
The one that's the most interesting is Virginia, because that's the one that I bet no on because you told me to. So, am I going to regret this, dude? I
don't think so. So I've been doing a lot of work on Virginia in the last couple of days, and this was actually priced at about 60 cents just a couple of days ago. We were still saying that was too steep. You've got to be on the no side of this. It's now come down a lot. It's now down, I think, into the low to mid 20s. I'm still thinking the edge here is on betting no, because there are a lot of big problems with this Virginia petition. So
we've seen it be related to Lord Cornwallis or something to get on a ballot in Virginia?
It's tough. It's one of the toughest, if not the toughest state to get on. It's not that their threshold is so high, and it was actually reduced this year for some independent candidates. We'll get into the details of that a little bit later, but it's really notoriously tough to get on the ballot in Virginia, which is why some of the other like libertarian and Constitution parties and the Green Party were suing to have the threshold lower. But so Kanye did submit in Virginia just a couple days ago his signatures. He submitted, I think, 13,000 signatures. The threshold is 5,000 unless you were a party to that lawsuit to have it reduced for COVID-related reasons to 2,500. The court-ordered ruling said those plaintiffs, I think Constitution, Libertarian, and Green parties could have it reduced, but it does not apply to other independent candidates. So the board still may reduce
the birthday party?
Not the birthday party. They were not a plaintiff to the suit. So he probably still has to hit the 5,000 threshold. Again, he submitted 13,000 signatures. Virginia says they won't announce if he's qualified until the first week in September. So this is that interim period where people have to decide, is he gonna make it or is he gonna get kicked off? He's already been kicked off places where he submitted elsewhere: Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, as I said. A few others, New Jersey.
So how do we know if the signatures are fake? Because that's
I went through. I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the Virginia Department of Elections. They sent me almost 2,300 pages of his signatures. And again, you're seeing signatures for folks like Mickey Mouse, who we know is not eligible because he also signed for Kanye in Wisconsin, and Mickey can't be legally registered to vote in 2 states. Big Bird signed for him in Iowa.
He's got a summer lake house up there.
That's right. But more important than that is that usually about half, sometimes closer to 2/3 of Kanye's and really everyone's signatures get bounced for one reason or another. It's illegible. They're not really registered at that right address, or for one reason or another. He's hired
like really stoned getting them.
He's hired a really shady firm to manage his petitions, and that's part of why they've failed in so many states already. It's run by a guy he's a convicted election fraudster. They cut a lot of corners. In Wisconsin, they were accused by sworn affidavit. What's that?
Is his name Bob Menendez?
It is not. It's Mark Jacoby, the guy that runs this firm called Let the Voters Decide. And by sworn affidavit, they lied to a whole bunch of signers in Wisconsin about what they were signing, what the document was. That people had no idea they were signing to get Kanye on the ballot. In Virginia, the one we're talking about here, that's now again priced at about 24 cents, down from 60 a couple days ago. He actually apparently lied to, or his team lied to the electors. So this is the group of 13 people that are, the people that would vote for you in the Electoral College. So they're like the key team in the state. Ben Jacobs from New York Magazine called up all 13, and 7 of them didn't even know that they were Kanye electors. They thought they were signing something else just to, give third-party candidates more voice or increase minority representation or something like that. They had no idea. And I talked to one myself yesterday, and she's desperate to get her name off of this. She has no interest in it. And the Department of Elections so far has not obliged. Biggest problem, though, that I found in Virginia is that one of those 13 electors, not one of the unwitting ones, apparently one of the intentional electors, is also a notary.
Saboteur.
A Virginia notary. And she notarized some 650 of the signature sheets out of the 2,300 sheets. So almost a quarter of the sheets she notarized. Now, in the Virginia Notary Handbook, you cannot lawfully notarize a document that has your name on it, that you're a party to. And she's an elector at the top of the page, and she's notarizing the witness statement on these signatures. So those 650 pages, I asked the Department of Elections if that invalidates them. They haven't responded. Seems to me, by any rational reading, those 650, if it's challenged, would easily get kicked off, which reduces him to about 10,000 signatures before the vetting of them, and he would then need half or more, which is a real reach for this team of his to have half or more be valid to stay on in Virginia. So again, this one is expensive to short right now. It's in the mid-70s, maybe even high 70s to short. But given his track record is so bad at getting on in states that require signatures, and given the amount of regularities, just that I've found just from digging into it from a day or two, I think I give the edge to this one. No, I can see if people might be gun-shy because it's expensive to get in, but I really don't think he's getting on in Virginia.
I think, though, we're missing the top-line story here, because from what you just told me, clearly the deep state is not aligned with the Democratic Party. It's clearly aligned with Kanye West and the birthday party, notarizing these faulty filings. So CC, Department of Homeland Security, and FBI, deep state alert. state of Virginia, or Commonwealth of Virginia, I should say.
That's right.
So I'll hold that. That sounds like I'm not going to get cucked brutally in the next couple days.
I would hold on to
what
the
about
nose here. Yeah, and it's interesting too because you mentioned deep state and all that. It's obviously amusing how poorly they're doing, but obviously it has been quite well publicized that he's had a lot of help from real GOP operatives, former elected officials or family members of former elected officials or local Republican leadership. Even Jared Kushner has been in apparently continual contact with Kanye. So it's been puzzling that they've done so badly, and that's why let's shift gears to Arizona here a little bit. That's one of the other three we want to talk about. Of the three that are interesting electorally, you got Arizona, Wisconsin, and Ohio. Wisconsin and Ohio, he's already been kicked off, but he's now actually suing.
We're not calling Iowa?
What's
we're
that?
Not calling Iowa an interesting state?
I'm sorry, not Iowa, Ohio. Ohio and Wisconsin.
I'm saying Iowa.
Oh, you're saying Iowa's interesting?
Yeah, ask Jody Arns.
Yeah, it's not that it's uninteresting, but maybe less of a critical swing state for the presidency in terms of what could be the tipping point state that he could play spoiler in. So Iowa, well, let's look at the predicted map. Iowa's at 72 for Republicans. Ohio's at 65. So if there's one they're more desperate to hang on to, more likely I would think it's Ohio's 18. Electoral votes than Iowa 6. But in any event, in Ohio and Wisconsin, if this is any indication of what's going on behind the scenes in the birthday party headquarters, they're suing now to reinstate his yanked ballot access there. And so that's why I'm a little nervous about this one in Arizona, because that's obviously another key. Of the ones he's not yet been kicked off of or failed to qualify for, that's the last best hope of his playing spoiler contra Biden. So, but Arizona is interesting because the signature threshold there is huge. We talked about being 5,000 in Virginia. It's 39,000 in Arizona. And
dude,
he's
how far do you have to ride your horse outside of Maricopa County to hit 39,000 doors?
It's really tough. You've got to get, I think, 200 from each of the 11 congressional districts. You got to get at least 200. So you can't just go to major city centers and just keep turning the crank. You've got to actually get around the state. And to get 39,000 valid signatures, so let's say 80,000 raw signatures. He's supposedly paying $8 a signature, but that's $600 and some thousand he's got to pay for these signatures. He's said he'll dump up to $500,000 in the state.
That's one night at the United Center.
But it's going to take a lot of money for this very corner-cutting, shady, slimy team to pull together enough signatures to get it together in Arizona.
So are you on no there?
Let's look at the latest price. What is it? 33, I think, in Arizona.
Yes.
No, I've got 26 now. It's gone down. I think I'd wait on this in Arizona. He doesn't have to file for another week. I might see if you can get a better entry point than this. At least let it pop back up into the 30s, maybe even low 40s if you start to see lots of news stories about how much activity there is getting these signatures. I'd be a little nervous just because it's hard to know what's going on behind the scenes. If they have professionalized the operation a little bit and if there are more GOP operatives getting better petition circulators with a little bit more of a professional outfit in hand. So I don't think he's going to make it in Arizona. It's such a huge number he's got to get to, but I think I would wait and look for a more attractive
Is Martha McSally even going to get 39,000 votes?
Yeah, it's tough to get that many valid signatures when you're entrusting it to a team of 100 people that you don't even know, probably that the person you're hiring doesn't even know. They're then farming it out to people on Facebook and Twitter. Oh, okay, come in, easy money for a couple days work. Yeah. So that's why it's hard to get these quality signatures, even for just a few thousand. In New Jersey, he couldn't get the 800 without a laughable degree of pervasive fraud throughout his petition. They didn't even challenge it in court. They just said, forget it. We don't even want to defend this steaming pile of a petition that we submitted.
3 Mickeys and 7 Minnie Mouses.
Yeah, that's right.
On that. So have you seen on any of these, I don't know if you're a South Park fan, but the I'm a Gay Fish episode of South Park?
Oh, yes, that's a classic one.
have there been any gay fish signing these petitions?
I haven't seen any. I think I might have seen one of the false FEC filings, though. May have made reference to the Fish Sticks episode of South Park.
That's good. Well, I know that if D's nuts could run, Fish Sticks could run.
That's right.
So take me to Iowa. I figure Iowa has like that. Don't they have some weird rule about you have to like have a certain number of people in every county, but there's counties in Iowa where all they have is corn?
Yeah, I think in Iowa you have to get some signatures from at least 10 different counties. So it's not like in Arizona or even Virginia where you have to get some from every congressional district, but you do have to get from at least 10 different counties. So There's a possibility that maybe in a couple counties he has just maybe 1, 2, 3 signatures, and so a challenge, if it strikes even a couple of signatures, could be enough to bounce him. But this one was interesting. So we're recording this on Thursday, August 27th, and today was actually the deadline to file challenges against his Iowa petition. So he submitted 3,000 signatures. The threshold is 1,500, so it's right kind of on the border. Again, he has kind of at best a 50% validity rate usually. So it seems dicey that he would make it to begin with. But the thing was, it was announced earlier this week that only one challenge had been filed, and it only challenged a handful of signatures. So unless, again, it was really targeted in a county or 2 counties where he had very, very small number of signatures, seemed unlikely that it could bounce him. But, and we were, again, saying this on Twitter in the last couple of days, look, we saw this in Wisconsin. There was a challenge, kind of a weak challenge submitted a few days before the deadline, but then the more professional party-backed challenge, usually submitted by the state Democratic Party or its operatives, they hold till right up against the deadline for strategic reasons. They don't want to give the candidate more time to prepare his response. And in fact, in Iowa, the state objection panel meets Monday, just 4 days after this today deadline. And so I was in touch with the comms director to the Secretary of State today asking, is there another challenge? Is there another challenge? Is there another challenge? And right after, about 10 minutes after the deadline, he said, yep, we just got a second challenge. He said no further details in terms of how many signatures are challenging, who the challengers are. I'm sure we'll get some of that probably kind of dribbling out over the weekend and certainly by Monday. And if they do it over Zoom, we'll live stream it like we did the Wisconsin and Illinois hearings. But so I would guess that that's going to be a more professional, maybe even sponsored or orchestrated by the Iowa Democratic Party. And if there is an organized, well-researched challenge to him in Iowa, I think his odds there are pretty bad. Again, just given his track record, he's basically not making it anywhere that there's a meaningful signature threshold. And I believe he has not sustained any challenge. In other words, he has lost everywhere that he's been challenged. So if this is a good professional challenge, I think the odds are he loses in Iowa. And this is why I think this is the most interesting market, because he's still trading at 85 cents to get through in Iowa. So, maybe there are traders out there that know more. I've seen a couple of signature pages leak, so maybe people have more information about what the challenges are. I've not seen that specific information yet. But I think some of this is a hangover effect of people that say, there's a weak challenge, he's going to make it, and it's a low signature threshold. But if this is a better challenge, I'm not saying he won't make it, but it's 15 cents to go no on this one. And I think that's probably the most attractive on either side of these 3 states, is to short Kanye in Iowa. Not a done deal, but you could go 5, 6x your money, and that's pretty attractive.
Do you know what we sound like right now? Like, can you step outside of your body? We sound like the fucking rookie announcers on like ESPN 8 watching a hot dog eating contest and comparing Joey Chestnut to like Michael Jordan, like, his jaw strength and like food manipulation. Like, this is not healthy. There's nothing about this is healthy. But that said, I'm going to go bet no on Iowa.
Yeah.
No.
This is what we do when you take tweet markets away. This is where we have to go. We need to start analyzing validity rates and what states Mickey Mouse might be eligible to vote in. It's
but I'll tell you this, like, being the fucking guy who has to walk into the state commission and contest signatures, that has to be like, if you want to be Scarface or like Al Capone, that has to be like the low-level crack dealer's game of trying to be like David Axelrod or something like that. Like, you're like, look at that signature and tell me it's made up.
Oh yeah, it's a mess. And I've been on the other side of the table. I sympathize with Kanye to some extent. I've been on the other side of the table here in New York, another notoriously difficult state to qualify for the ballot, in state and even federal court, defending my own signatures and being accused of fraud quite
no one would name their kid Flip. That's stupid.
But in this case, it's part of why I kind of am drawn to these markets, not only for trading opportunity and kind of understanding how these markets work, but from a ballot access standpoint, it's hard, and it frankly should be somewhat hard to get on the ballot. You shouldn't just simply be able to raise your hand and be on a federal ballot.
How did the Rent is Too Damn High party get on the ballot?
Well, they put in the work, I guess. That's kind of my point, is that it's not even necessarily saying that Kanye wanted to do this in a frivolous way. Again, he has complicated motives, and I sympathize for him, due to that. But the team that's doing this, again, headed by this convicted election fraudster that's clearly cutting corners, clearly lying to the people that are signing the petitions, even the people signing up to be the electors voting in the Electoral College, lying to them about what they're getting into. I think it's great and robust and healthy that there are vigorous challenges to people who try to cut the corners and crowd out, legitimate candidates of good faith that have such difficulty navigating this system. So I more power to them that are challenging. And when he does have the signatures in the ballot, absolutely more power to him. And best of luck to him being on those ballots. But in the interim, I love to see this these healthy challenges proceeding. And in the meantime, I love being able to kind of assemble this information, talk through it with other traders and observers like yourself, and sort of figure out where the opportunities may be in these markets, or what the traders are getting right, what they're getting wrong, where the opportunities might be. And it's a spectator sport to a large degree. This politics in general, but certainly those of us in the predict it and prediction market communities, and it's no better way.
Right, so
way I'd rather be spending my time.
Let's put a bow on it right now, Blue Eyes. Arizona.
Yeah.
Kanye, you said, is in the mid-60s.
No, Arizona now it's gone. It's been all over the place because it just launched. But right now, no is at 74 or 73. So I think look for a better
60s?
entry point, because it's just hard to know right now whether they've professionalized the operation. I think it's unlikely, but I'd probably look for a better entry point, because there's
all right. Don't buy the top, boys.
Don't buy the top.
Don't buy the top. Iowa,
we are at 85 yes,
no is like 15.
So it's 15 no. That's super cheap. It's not to say it's a lock, but this is really attractive risk-weighted return to short in Iowa, to bet against him in Iowa.
So measure the weight of those brass cojones between your legs and decide what you want to do, fellas. Virginia, I'm on no in the mid-70s. I brought the top on that because I just felt like being a badass.
Yeah, Virginia, it seems to me like the weakest of his petitions among these three states. So I think the odds of his getting in is the lowest of these three. But again, it's expensive. You got to buy these at 79. So not for the faint of heart. Gun to my head, if I had to go yes or no on this, I'd take the no, because this elector problem, the elector/notary that was apparently unlawfully notarized a quarter of his pages, that seems like a potentially fatal irregularity to me. So again, maybe keep your powder dry, see if you can get a better entry point. But on all these, they're going to expire or get close to resolving fast. Because, again, in Virginia, they said first week in September, didn't specify a date, but that's when they'll make their decision. Arizona, he's got to submit by September 4th. And Iowa, it's this Monday, August 31st, when the state objection panel meets to hear the challenge. So you got to figure out which way you're going to go and find your entry point quick on all these.
There you have it. Play fast, don't play too loose. Yeah, this has been an emergency podcast. I hope everyone gets rich because of it. I'm Keendawg.
And I'm Flip. Good luck to everyone. Follow us along. We're going to be putting a lot more information as it comes out too on Twitter. We're at Old Bull TV. You guys know Keendawg is at Keendawg SSG.
That's right.
Oldbull.tv and StarSpangled.com. Good to chat with you.
Out of here. As Kanye once said, we out of here, baby. No, wait, he said, here's another hit, Barry Bonds. We out of here, baby. No rhythm, no flow, but a lot of fun. See you guys.
See ya.